There we go. Oh, damn it. All right. Now, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Go Hunt podcast, the only hunting podcast scientifically proven to delay hair loss and improve your odds at death by snoo-snoo. Tonight, Dave Packard, who's hoping to survive the night, Captain Mike Gonzalez rowing in waders, Sam Alexander adding another victim to the Bever Jihad, and fresh from playing Hunting Guide, I'm Vince H. Tonight, wait, on target.
You can't do the whole voice the whole time.
Oh, no, he changed the thing. Tonight, we have a couple of hunts to share with you guys and a girl. There we go.
Whoa, we're not sharing a girl.
Who are we sharing and why?
It's
I don't know.
it's to
Somebody
share with
wrote
you
that.
guys and girl. Like, you know, the
put
guys
that?
who listen and then the one
Like-
girl.
Like in
Who
Eiffel
changed
Tower?
Everything.
I changed it because we don't have we don't have like a topic section tonight.
Well, we have the tonight. What we're talking about. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, tonight we have a couple of hunts to share with you guys and girl.
You just put the on target. Anyway, he messed up the show notes.
No, that's how
His
they
fault.
always are.
They're always messed
No,
up? We've been
Well-
trusting you with this for 2 years and you're always messing them up? This is bullshit.
What the hell
I
did you
demand a new
expect?
note maker.
Also, Vince, are you a hunting guide or are you enforcing the Volstead Act?
What's the Volstead Act?
Prohibition with that voice. Like you sound like you're
Which
like you
voice?
should be
I have
walking
many
the streets-
voices.
The one you do.
That was your old-timey 100 years ago voice.
Yeah, and it sounded like you should be walking the streets of Chicago looking for bathtub gin.
No, that's tonight on the Let's Go Hunt podcast. That's
That's great. That's awesome.
That's actually pretty good. You should do that next time.
Tonight on Let's Go Hunt podcast, we have lots of things to talk about.
It's too soon, man.
I can't do that one too much. because
Including your car's extended warranty.
Did I tell you guys I got banned? I got a girl banned on TikTok using that voice once.
No.
Oh,
but
yeah.
continue.
I was
Yeah, I
over.
remember that.
I was over at my neighbor's house, and this rail thin, ugly as hell, blonde
Felicia?
is streaming crap on TikTok while most of us are in there, fairly well plastered. And so me and my neighbor decide that, like, oh, this freaking camera's pointed at us. Let's do dumb shit. And I did the Indian accent, and TikTok automatically banned her.
Nice.
Wow.
So then she went in and
So
used
why
a
doesn't
VPN or-
TikTok? Why doesn't TikTok allow like Indians?
That's because I was a white guy. They don't like white people. Anyway,
How
so
did you
then
know?
she managed to reroute her freaking stream through the Philippines or something and got it back online. And there was somebody commenting on the live stream asking her to show her tits. And my neighbor responded, "Why don't you show us your dicks?" And then it banned her again. And that's my only experience with TikTok.
Boobies good. PP no.
Nice.
Well,
Hunting guide Vince.
yeah. As much as I wanted to watch you two fight to the death over who got to
Just
talk
kidding. My
first,
story goes first. I'm muting you.
I got to get my popcorn.
Unfortunately,
First.
I don't have administrative control, so I can't.
I do.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
I mean, you may have administrative control on StreamYard, but the recording happens right here. So if whatever I mute on this side is what's the final fight or the final whatever.
For those of you listening, Sam just tapped his robot head. That
Gideon.
was the clanging you heard.
Bob, this is your fault. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be Vince's hat, which I intend to give it to him, but I had to
Bobbert,
break
Yeah,
it first.
Yeah, that's my
Is that the
ass.
salty one?
He gets a little bit of
If you gave him the salty one, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, Vince wanted the salty one. He wanted to
I'm gonna
lick the
wear
salt
this.
off.
I'm gonna wear this to work tomorrow.
I roll my own salt.
Ew. Anyway, somebody.
So-
talk.
Okay, who's going?
Moving on.
You are
Definitely you.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna jump right into this. I got to go around and do some hunting this past weekend, but I was not the one doing the hunting. This past weekend was the youth rifle hunt in Oklahoma, which it's 3 days, and the deer harvested during this count towards the hunter's combined season limit, but they do not count toward the regular gun limit. So theoretically, if you're a youth in Oklahoma, you can shoot all 6 of your deer with a rifle if you have the opportunity to do so. So let's see, go over here to my notes. Okay, so we were having I'd kind of thought about going to the private land that I can hunt on, but I started to think about it, and I forgot. I kind of remembered that the area I went and hunted this past spring for turkey, while it's closed to regular deer gun season, it is open for youth deer gun, which is kind of special. I was like, ooh. So I decided that rather than go up to the 180 acres that I kind of hunt on private land, I went to the wildlife management area is called Arbuckle Springs, and it's in southeast Oklahoma, and it's kind of a mix between it's rolling rocky hills mixed with open grazing land and dense hardwoods kind of down in the little creek bottoms, and then there's like loose stands of scrub trees kind of all around. But that's just a little note on, and it's bisected by some power lines and also some gas lines, so there are long open runs that you can see, half a mile or so in some directions. But it is very rocky. It's part of a formation that's called the Pontotoc Ridge Formation, and it's actually where the Blue River originates from. But right now, it is very dry in this area. It's barely rained over the past 2 months. And all the little streams that I saw back in May are all nice and dried up. And as far as I can tell by looking at the map, the closest major source of water, there's a pond on one part of the property that I've seen and know about, and I think it's spring fed. But other than that, all of the other smaller ones are dried up, except for a large watershed that's on Delaware Creek, which is a half a mile outside of the wildlife management area. So pretty dry. And I wasn't sure how that was going to affect deer movement, because deer will walk a long way to get to water, but it still does govern their movements during drought conditions. So anyway, decided to go down there, look around, and we got there about 30 minutes before first legal shooting light, and there were already people at the parking area. And I was like, well, crap. But it's like, okay, it's not going to be too bad. There's 3,000 acres out here. There's plenty of room for everybody. There's 2 other cars there, and one group of people went across the road, and I don't get a hat.
That's because you get salt hat.
Does that mean I get 2 hats?
Except the other one is very tiny.
Oh.
Since Gideon said this is the most he's ever been attracted to Sam, and frankly, Bobbert, any amount over 0 is just...
Look, if I had to put it to a vote, I'd vote for me being most handsome cast member.
That is unfactual, sir. Oh, wait, my hair's messed up. All right, it might be you now.
Don't worry. We'll talk about hunting. You fix your hair.
I got this, guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
Anyway, so while I started getting stuff out of the van and getting everything ready, one of the other guys walks up and he's like, "Hey, where are y'all gonna go?" And it's like, "Okay, I was gonna go about 3/4 of a mile in and watch this stand of oak trees that I found last year." He's like, "Okay, we were just gonna watch the pipeline right here, because there's a pipeline 150 yards from the parking area." And I was like, okay, so we need to hurry and get out there so that we're not blowing up their spot, because we have to walk past the pipeline to get out to where I wanted to go. So we got everything together, I got my pack on. I actually took that Hill People gear little pack that I had, because you can strap stuff to the outside of it, and it's got a nice waist pack or waist belt that I can put on and strap things to that too. So I got that all worked together, and that was actually pretty comfortable. But I ended up doing something that I probably shouldn't have. And okay, so I did it. I did the thing that people talk about with AR-15s. I took an extra upper for mission specific purposes.
All right. How'd
Like
that
you
go?
can just swap the upper onto the lower, and you can you have two. I did that, okay, and it got kind of annoying having an extra 5 pounds of stuff in the bag that was getting hung up on branches, because I packed in a 6.5 Grendel upper just in case we sat somewhere where you had like a 300 or 400 yard shot or something. It's like I'd rather have the boy using that than the 5.56, which I had the 5.56 just lightweighted out as much as possible. It's right here. I have it sitting right here, right there. There it is. I had it lightweighted as much as possible so that he could wield it effectively. But that was just that was a bad decision for the day, but it wasn't the worst thing I could have done. But he had his little pack, and I had him carrying his rifle out there. And so we started walking, and I started to realize I was running out of time to get to the spot that I wanted before first light. So I found a little spot watching a clearing where multiple open, like what looked like good travel lanes came together. And, with the terrain right, I was like, okay, stuff might come through here. So we're just going to set up here and watch this clearing for a while, where these different, travel lanes look like they come together. And so this whole time I'm using Onyx to kind of map out where I want to go and look where I kind of want to sit and see what looks best, and with the topography and everything. But we sat there for the first 2 hours, and I'm starting to get bored, and the boy is starting to get bored. He's like, "Dad, can we move?" I'm like, "Yep, let's go." So we packed everything up and, got everything together and started slowly walking, just like a little bit at a time, 10 feet at a time. Stop, look, listen. Another 10 feet. Stop, look, listen. And over the course of an hour, we moved about 600 yards or so. And we went to this other spot that I had pegged on the maps, where I had actually been there this past spring. And it's a not a big hill. It's, y'all call it probably a pretty small little hill. Compared to the area around it, the bottom was at about 900 feet, and the top of it was like 950, 960. So it wasn't super tall, but it has this interesting rocky outcropping on it, where the south face of the hill has what looks like a big step that's just like rock and boulder. Like my son kept saying like, "Dad, it looks like someone made this. It looks like big old stair steps." I was like, "Yeah, it kind of does." And we moved over there. I noted a few things along the way that I'm saving for the future, like some nice persimmon trees that seem like they put on pretty well. And Sam gone.
Bye, Sam.
Noted some food sources for the future. If I go back out there, I might hunt those. But we moved over there and we started looking around, and it's a nice little view. You can see about 200 yards, from that little cleft in the hill, which is about halfway up. That stair step is about halfway up. And I got to looking around, and I found a nice little spot in there where we were in the shade, and we could get in amongst the rocks and be shaded in the little scrub trees that were there. And we could just watch this clearing to the south of us that butted up against some hardwoods. And usually there was a little creek that flowed back over there, but right now it was dry. I mean, I could tell you everything around there was dry. And so we went down, and it's about 10:20. We've been walking we walked for an hour. We got over there, we settled in, and I started clearing like some little twigs from the cedar trees in front of us, so he had better shooting lanes down in there. And the woods are about 70 yards away, and the farthest we can see is about 200 yards straight south of us. And so we sit down, and to be honest, I was going to sit there all day long. I mean, I was just going to sit there all day and chillax and chat with the boy. And if anything happened to walk by, something happened to walk by. And like something I actually, for food, because, you know, we were going to sit there all day, I picked up something like the, I forget what brand, but it's like the Hormel single serve microwave meals that are like turkey
yeah.
and dressing, or what's the other one? Turkey. I got turkey and dressing and roast beef and mashed potatoes, and I started to realize like it's an MRE entree,
Mhm.
and you're just supposed to microwave it, but that's basically what it is. It's an MRE entree, and oh shoot, I accidentally pushed a button. Anyway,
Buttons. Better than Sam's buttons. Sam pushes the wrong button, we go off the air.
yeah.
Or I pressed the wrong button and I accidentally disconnect because I'm just trying to shut my camera off for 5 seconds while I hang the other shotgun back here, and it's an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me.
The boy was quite pleased with the food that I brought, but that was just a little note because we've talked about MREs before and food in the field, and those worked really well. And I brought a Ziploc bag so that we could use that as a trash bag rather
Nice.
than like it, because it's quieter and I could seal it, and then the scent from it wouldn't just be blowing out the whole time. But we got done eating, and we ate kind of early at 11 o'clock because we're sitting there and we're bored, and we're sitting there and he's talking to me like, Dad, when we see a deer and yada yada yada, and I'm like, okay, son, we need to just kind of temper our expectations. I don't know, because I'm in the middle of telling him I don't know what the dry conditions are going to do to the deer movement. I don't know. Okay. We might not see anything today. There just might not be anything out. And it's the middle of the day too. And I'm like in the middle of telling him this. And we see movement. And I'm not sure which one of us saw it first. It was probably the exact same time, but running out of the woods straight south of us is this little spike. And just to back up a little bit, we were listening and it was pretty calm, so we could kind of hear stuff down in the woods, but we were like, that sounds like a squirrel. That doesn't sound like anything. That sounded like a tree, like branch breaking off. But we had been hearing a little bit of stuff down there and we kind of hadn't thought much of it. But then out comes running this little spike. And I'm like, God, and he's running. Like he's like running up straight at us from the south. And then as he gets closer, he starts to turn and curve to the west, so to our right. And the second he moves, I grab like the shooting sticks that I made, and I start, he grabs the rifle, and I'm like, get the gun on the sticks. And like earlier he was like, Dad, I don't want to use the sticks. I think I'm steadier without the shooting sticks. I'm like, guess who's using the shooting sticks? And so
Dad, I can use the force.
Like one day I will trust your adrenaline response to this situation, but that is not this day. So I got him on the shooting sticks, and he's trying to, aim south. He wants to aim south where he's the deer. I'm like, no, aim over here southwest, because there's a cedar tree that the deer ran behind, and it's gonna come out over here somewhere. And so the deer comes running out, and I've got him set up looking exactly that direction. And as it gets out into the middle of the opening, I give the old brrr sound at it. Like he's set up behind the gun. He's sitting there ready to go. Safety's off. And I give the old little grunt at him. And then he stops and looks right at us. And I'm waiting. I'm like, pull the trigger, boy. I'm not saying this because I don't want to rush the kid, but I'm like, pull the trigger.
You didn't
Please
get a
pull
little
the trigger.
flack on the back of the head, like, come on, do it already.
Pull the trigger. Do it. No. And then the deer is looking at us, And then he turns back the direction he was heading up the hill and just starts to walk. And I'm like, if this kid does not pull the trigger now, he's never going to. And then suddenly he cracks off a shot. And I'm watching the deer. I'm not watching the kid. I'm watching the deer. And I see the bullet hit and I hear the thwack. I'm like, yes, because I know exactly what's going to happen now. He turned directly away from us and ran about 25 or 30 yards. Now, I sent y'all a picture recently of the result of this, and I'll just say, using the 5.56 with that 75 grain hollow point boat tail, that is a normal response, even with the amount of damage that did. Because I'll just go ahead and say it now, that 75 grain hollow point boat tail cut the heart in half. And by cut in half, I mean in half. There was no top half left. There was some pieces that used to be somewhat associated. There was only a bottom half of the heart left. But anyway, so we stand there and watch it, and we watch it drop, and that boy is just elated. He's in disbelief, actually, at what happened, that he actually pressed the trigger and something died. Along with the fact that was the first time I actually let him shoot the rifle. I had him at home while I was at work, with his mother's permission. He was allowed to go out back with the rifle and dry fire it.
Mhm.
So I had him practicing doing that, but he had never actually shot it. He had shot an AR-22 that was set up similarly, but he hadn't actually cracked off a shot with that one. Of course, there wasn't really anything much more than a rim fire. I had a suppressor on it. I had an ye old Banish 223 sitting on it. So it was fairly, I didn't notice really any ringing of the ears, and I was 2 feet left of the muzzle, or 2 feet right of the muzzle. And that's like the danger zone right there. And it was still pleasant, which is kind of nice. So we start to get a couple things together. He wants to run down there. I'm like, calm down. And I realize, so I've been out there messing with my GoPro, and I had the GoPro right next to me. Like, if something jumps out, I need to grab this immediately. I freaking forgot. I grabbed it and started videoing immediately afterwards and started talking to the boy about it. I have that content, but as far as like the actual moment of truth, nope. I did get a video of us walking up to the deer, which was nice, but I didn't get the moment, so there's really not much I can do with that. Which it's fine. I had other things to be concerned about. One day, whenever he's got complete control of the rifle and I'm just playing cameraman, I can just play cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
Playing cameraman sucks.
Meh. I had plenty of fun doing it this time around. We get down there, nice little spike. I had the boys start gutting the deer. Like he did like the initial cut, but he started to get like nervous about it. Especially like I did not want him nicking any part of the gut. And I was like, just give me the knife. You watch real close. Next time you're going to do more of this. And that's probably what I'll do. Just as time goes on, he'll do a little bit more of it till eventually he can do it on his own. But I got it cut open. I got it gutted out. Took a couple of pictures of the heart, which was mostly gone because we talked a lot about shot placement. We had talked about shot placement based on how the deer is positioned, if it's quartering towards us, if it's quartering away from us, how that changes, relationally, where you need to aim to hit the right spot. And he made a perfect shot, like heart lung shot. Deer did the whole dead dash and it was over.
Well, you had heart pate in there, basically, that top half.
It was hard to believe.
It's unfortunate that you said that.
I'm That's a good response. That might be one of the best responses yet.
I was hoping you were going that way, and then halfway through, I was like, maybe he's not. Nope, you delivered. It was
It's
fantastic.
also unfortunate that I do like deer heart. Deer heart, I think, is delicious. It's got a very it's a liver-ish flavor with a meat texture. I like it. My wife doesn't, but I like it.
I like the little snap that you get with heart.
It's a tradition in our family to eat the heart of an animal after we've killed it. Lately, we've been testing for CWD first, but yeah, all you do is trim off all the excess heart crap, get nothing but muscle, no sinew, nothing, and cut them up into little bite-sized pieces, grill them over, salt, pepper, garlic, grill them over butter. Boom. Little heart piece is amazing.
It's interesting because of the way the heart, the grain of the muscle, if you slice it like up and down and leave like long strips and then you go and fry it, they curl up like little shrimp.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too.
I've seen people core out a heart and split it and then slice it real thin and then do stir fry with it.
Ooh, that would be really, really good.
I figured that would be right up your Asian alley.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've done that. I've also stuffed it with green chilies and breadcrumbs, and then roasted it for a number of hours. And I've done that and served it at Thanksgiving as like almost like a garnish, like some other like small bit of meat there that's not turkey. But where was I? Oh yeah, I gotta get it out. Do you have a question?
Real quick, Gideon Optics in the chat says too many people don't understand what that experience adds to a child's entire life. Pure sense of accomplishment, confidence they'll carry forever, not to mention the skills and respect for nature. It doesn't matter what they do, lawyer to a bricklayer, they're a better member of this planet. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Your boy's now a better member of the planet. Yep.
Yeah, at least he knows
the Gideon of all time.
If he becomes a lawyer, nah.
Seems unlikely at this point. If he does, it'd be dead. That's not on my bingo card.
If he becomes a lawyer, though, imagine the hunts that Vince gets to go on.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to add that to my bingo card. Just in case. But anyway, so I get this deer gutted out. I get it ready to do what I need to do with it. And I start to, I have a decision to make at this point, because we are a mile from where we parked the car, and that's as close to the car as you're going to get. And at that point, I'm like, man, I do not want to walk all the way back to get my game cart and then walk all the way back out here, because we were sitting up there in the shade and it was real nice, but it was already 80 degrees.
Ooh.
And I'm like, maybe I can drag this thing as far as I can. And there's one real big hill, because that pipeline near the cars was, kind of on a hill, running across the face of it. And there's a last quarter mile there that's like straight freaking uphill. And I was like, maybe I can get it to the bottom of that and then go get the game cart. And by game cart, I mean the dolly that I've had for 15 years. And go just walk up that big old hill at the end, and it won't be too bad. Well, accomplished that, but it was pretty bad. Because dragging that deer for 1,200, it was not a big deer, okay? It's maybe 110, 120 pounds live weight, but still dragging that with my pack over, relatively rocky and hilly terrain was not a lot of fun. On that note, my Irish setters that I just got did fantastic. I could not be happier with those. I also went and looked up the name of the product. Those are the Trailblazers. They're more built kind of as more of a hiking boot, but they're still the contour welt design where you can resole them, and they have the heavy leather upper. And I was very pleased with those. Did fantastic. That was not the problem. The problem is that Dad was out of shape and had to drag a deer in the Oklahoma heat. And I was really lamenting, like, maybe I should have bought the backpack first, because I could have I probably could have just strapped the deer into the backpack, not even quartered it out, and walked out with it. But I am now much more interested in getting an improved day pack that I can also carry a load with, because that would have made that whole trip much nicer. Because at first I tried to take the shooting sticks and strap the deer in between and just have the boy and me just, drag the thing together, just put a longer lead on his side so he, had more leverage. But I've quickly started to realize, yeah, that's a bit too much for him, and I'm going to have to drag this deer out of here. Or I can walk back to the car and, do a grand total of 4 miles round trip to get this deer out of here. And I just decided to drag the deer. We had to stop multiple times so I could take water and let my heart rate drop. But we got it back to the bottom of that hill, walked up, got the game cart. While we were sitting out there in our first spot, we were about 700-800 yards from that pipeline, and the guy who had gone to sit over there, who came and talked to me, I heard a couple shots from that direction. Don't know if he got anything. I looked around for blood and stuff while we were walking up there, but didn't see anything. I'm hoping they got something too, because that'd be cool. But I heard 2 shots, which makes me think maybe someone was a little bit too worked up and might have missed a couple times. But
I ran into that with my first deer last year, dragging it out, because once I shot the deer, I looked up and saw how far away my pickup was. I'm like, that sucks. So I tried to drag it and ended up just fucking throwing it over his shoulder and carrying it out. It was so much fucking easier that way.
It's not the first time I've seen you do that, and my question for Vince was why he didn't do that, but at the same time, I also realized that Vince is not you, and he only had a few pounds on the deer. So,
see,
but Vince
I think about that,
though.
Just man, I don't want blood and crap all over my neck and back.
It was fucking everywhere.
I'm like, I do have to. It's gonna be a little bit before. I don't want flies all over me. It was warm. Oh, and I also had to dodge. There's freaking prickly pear everywhere out there. So not only am I trying to pick the best path, but I'm also weaving in and out of prickly pear cactus, because I don't want to. You do not want to drag your deer through prickly pear cactus and then go try and skin that sucker. It will be uncomfortable for you. Don't do it.
I did figure out when, if you are just fucking shoulder carrying a deer, throw the head on your backside. That way it wraps around your left side. If it's on your right shoulder, the head will wrap around your right side, or your left side. Sorry. And then you just grab an ear and a hind leg and you just kind of hold it. And then it's all one package. Head's not flopping around. Legs aren't flopping around.
See, I was thinking put the back legs, because I wear a belt, put the back legs through one side over the pistol and the left leg over, the mag holders. Pop the 2 legs over my shoulders like this, put her head on as a hat and just wrap her around me like a coat.
I thought maybe you were sticking your head in the gut cavity.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going with that. Wrap her head around, or wrap her around like a coat.
That's,
head for a hat.
That's how you get shot.
And then I took the shooting sticks and I shoved it up her neck so that I can make her head turn side to side.
So you put the orange vest on her and the orange hat, and then CPW can't say you weren't wearing your orange because you're wearing her.
This is where skinwalkers came from. Okay,
Guys like Mike.
guys like Mike. Oh, that was the other thing. Y'all probably have deer ticks. We have deer ticks. They are all over the deer. You can see them crawling on the deer. And I've got a problem with ticks. And I
I
have a problem with ticks.
when I
And I
salvaged
do
my
not want that.
roadkill, I did not realize the deer was covered in ticks until after it was in the back of the van.
Oof.
Yep.
I
Now,
threw it
granted-
in there and then looked at it and went, "This thing is crawling with ticks." And then,
That's why I like hunting when it's cold.
There's still ticks, but it's also nice and cool out. So
I did not have
Oh.
any ticks on my deer.
The ticks tend to die off after freezing.
yeah, but
At
that's
least-
why they're on the deer. They stay nice and warm and they stay there all winter. They hibernate.
All the animals I've seen, I've not, unless I haven't been looking, I have not seen ticks on the animals. Only
Mike just wonders what these little bits of seasoning in his meat are.
no, that's cystic sarcosis.
They're deer grapes.
Ah,
That's a show title right there. Deer grapes.
Yep, that's it. That's the one.
there are no other show titles tonight. Oof.
I'll tell you guys a story after the show. It's pretty
Please
raunchy
don't.
for the show.
Anyway, so I got it back home. I had the boy help me take it apart. We got it in the cooler, and that evening I cooked up the tenderloin for him, and I went ahead and I fried up an entire backstrap.
Nice.
Why not? And I cooked the tenderloin specifically for him and myself. It is a pretty simple recipe. I just take Cajun seasoning, some brown sugar, a little bit of garlic, and some dill, and I just work that all around the meat, and then I don't batter it or anything. I just fry it in the cast iron skillet until it's nice and seared on both sides, and bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go, and it's pretty good.
Dude, it sounds
And-
good.
Yeah, I just cook that one all the way through. It's fine. It comes out tender that way. So
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
now I will point out for his rifle, like I have the little micro prism on there and the lightweight barrel and everything, because that just had to be as lightweight as possible. But hopefully in the future I can put something else in front of him that's a little bit more capable. But until then, like, I put that together specifically because last year we had trouble getting on a deer that was right in front of him because he couldn't control the rifle as well as he needed to. Now, I have been bothering Bob about their 3X prism that's coming out, but I'm starting to have a little different thoughts about it. So
Do you think it should be a 4X?
I think I'm liking the idea of a 1X prism with a magnifier more and more, because that gives you greater capability as far as close range and then a little bit of extended range. Now, I like the idea of a 4X magnifier or even like a 5 or 6, and then you have the 1X prism so that you can click it out of the way and then pop that in front. And that would still be lighter weight than pretty much any LPVO on the market with a mount, or a mount that's worth mounting. Okay. There are lightweight mounts like the Arrow. There's some problems with the Arrow, especially if you knock it against something. There's a nice probability that you might shear the tabs off on the top of it. That's where most of the failures in those come in, especially if you don't torque it correctly. But I actually talked to Bob about that because I was like, hey, if you have that 3X ready soon, I could feature that on a, yeah, he said right there, it's not going to be ready for a while, but we could feature that on the boys rifle, but it's not going to be out until next year. So
All good things come to those that wait.
Yeah. So
Dave-
I've been poking him about that, but I might poke him about something different here down
Is
the
it going
line
to be
a
his
little bit.
size?
Dave, tap your microphone real quick. Are you? Okay. You said it's just the room. Then never mind.
I'm not. It's like half God mode in here.
Yeah, you're good. I just wanted to make sure.
Demigod mode.
There have been some noise complaints. Dave has barely spoken.
All right. That's the end of my story. I still have to go process a deer, but you know,
Good. That's a good memory for the kid. He got his first deer. He didn't have to wait until he was, 30 years old and running it over with a truck to get his first deer.
that is not quite the end of it. Okay, he convinced me to go sit out behind the house where I throw out corn that evening because if there was a doe that came up, he wanted to shoot a doe too. But instead, like 3 bucks walked up. And one of them, they weren't big, but one of them was a nice little like 6-point that was like at about his ears. And he's like, Dad, we shouldn't have shot that one earlier because now I don't have a buck tag. Like, boy, hush your mouth. You went and shot a deer on public ground for your first deer. Yeah, we got to do a bunch of stuff, and you would rather sit out here behind the house and just murder a deer. Like, that was a good memory. You take it. So he was already like playing that game. Like, no, we're not playing this game. That was a good first year. Plenty of ways to go up from here. So
yeah, dude, 100%. My first deer, it was like 5 years ago or something like that, and it was on public ground. He was a little 3-point, and or I don't know. We call them 3 points based on how many points are on one side of the head. I know whitetail, some people call them 8 points because there's 4 on each side. I don't know. There's 2 ways to do it.
Whitetail, they count all the points.
Okay.
yeah, whitetail
And-
you just do the aggregate, like
All
the
right.
whole,
So my first.
whole thing.
Muley, we
Okay.
usually like 3x4
Right.
or 3x3.
All right. So I shot a 3x3, and we were waiting for him. I've told the story, but my little brother was like, "Hey, fish squeezer." He's like, "Hey, do you want to wait for like a deer, or do you just want to shoot something?" And I was like, "I'm out here for food, man. I just want to shoot something." So
He's out there
It
to
was-
save his bloodlust. Anything will
it
do.
was
I
the-
saw
it was the experience, man. Like I know he'll come to treasure it later on. He will. I know he will.
I saw a 7-point once that someone shot, but it was a 6x1.
Nice. I like
It had
It-
it
it's
had
a
6
6x
over
spike?
here. It was a huge deer, and it had one 12-inch spike on the left side.
That guy's
It
got
was
a
a-
multi-tool for a rack, man. If he
It
needs
was
to
a-
fight, he can hook him with the right side, then swing that left hand spike in and just gore him.
Or he could just put his head down and wait for them to just run their eyeball directly into his one spike.
Like, yeah.
Got you. Now they're all mine.
Very nice.
We actually cut the spikes off, and they're curing in salt and just sitting in the kitchen, because the first time I went to move that deer, I grabbed one of those spikes, and it just kind of popped
Oh.
off the skull. Like the skin was still holding it on there, but this is something I've noticed. The last deer I shot down in this area was a little like tiny basket rack 6-point, like tiny. And when I went to string it up to clean it out, one of the antlers like popped off the skull. So there might not be enough calcium in their diet to get like that good bone structure whenever they're only a year and a half old.
They need milk.
They need something. But I just grabbed that spike and started to move it, and just like that came loose. So this is not going to be a European mount. This is going to be something else. But it should be fun. He's gonna have like 2 spikes that are like this long to just play with. So
Oh, yeah.
it's better for him at this age anyway.
And start
not gonna-
rattling.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Rattling. It's gonna be like, Kate, why don't you give me some more cowbell? Like,
It's good show and tell.
I'm not happy I had that sound in my ears.
Anyway, I've been talking
Apologies.
for 40 minutes, so I think we need to get into some other stuff here for a little bit.
Well, no, that was good. That was good.
It's good.
Kids getting into stuff is part of our whole little shtick here.
Yeah.
Things we all have kids of varying ages, and they all need to grow up to learn how to hunt or be disowned.
Yep.
I got to
Basically.
play hunting guy, and I was like, I got him to kill something. I got him to kill something. I may have been happier. I don't know. He was pretty happy, but I was freaking pleased. It was a good day.
He's just like, yeah, it was all right.
I can only imagine.
We should have shot the bigger one, is what he's thinking.
What my daughter's going to be like in December if she shoots something like Yeet Fam. Spitty. Fuck.
Dude, I'm worried about whenever my daughter first gets into it, because like we watch Jurassic Park and she roots for the dinosaurs.
I can't
My
really
daughter-
blame her.
My daughter cried when at Jurassic World when Blue runs off. Yeah, she cried in that part. And I was like, why the fuck are you crying? I'm just so happy. All right. Moving on.
That's messed up.
Dave, what do you got
Mhm.
down here in the show notes?
Oh. So, since you guys have all been up in your shit with shotguns, a buddy of mine showed this to me. And if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. I'm going to share it on the screen right now, if I can. But it is a clay pigeon launcher, but not a normal clay pigeon launcher. It's like it looks like a spotlight, but acts like a
Okay.
drill. And then it sends these little discs that look like drone blades out.
I'm pretty sure I saw this in a sci-fi movie, and it didn't end well for the recipients.
Well, let me get back
I'm
here.
having trouble imagining this in anything besides like a bad episode of Flash Gordon.
Right?
Yeah,
Like-
it's pretty sweet. It is outrageously expensive,
Okay,
but
I'm out.
as soon as my stuff
Hang on,
loads
Dave.
here,
Gotcha.
but
Like,
oh,
there it
go away.
is. That
Their website is absolutely full of pop-ups. It is
Yes, it is.
800 euros. Or wait, is that pounds?
Yes, it is.
That's euros. It's
Okay,
about
that's
$1,000.
Yeah.
This
I
looks
think-
like, okay. This looks like a 1950s Office fan.
It does.
Kind of, because when you scroll down to the actual clays, they look
Mhm.
like little propeller blades.
Or maybe a kitchen mixer. Back before batteries were good.
I was thinking a
Oh my
cross
God, these
between a
pop-ups.
Star Wars phaser and a giant flashlight from the 60s
Yeah.
and a drill.
So what's the projectile look like? How does this
But-
thing work?
It's
Oh, okay. So,
it
it's a
spins
propeller.
These.
It's like a little propeller that
Yeah.
goes woo away.
so all your little hand drill guy does
Yeah.
is it gets your little propeller
Exactly.
clay up to a very, very high RPM, and then it just goes.
Oh,
Wait, I
my
had
goodness.
this same thing made of plastic that cost $2
Yes.
when I was a kid.
This is the adult version of those crappy toys that come
Yeah.
in baskets at Easter. That's
Yes.
what this is. But someone's like, "Hey, I got an
So-
idea."
I'm gonna make this cost $1,000.
What's European? What do you expect?
Hey boy, shoot that out in front of me. I'm gonna shoot it.
Like, "Hey, give me my BB gun."
But
It's
they're-
not a purse.
you can
it's
buy just
European.
the little. You can buy just the little clays, or you could buy this thing. This thing, the actual little motor, is the expensive part. The clays you get like 400 of them for, I don't know, not much money. But I'm also thinking, if a guy were to like take a Milwaukee drill
I'm following.
and you could 3D print these little disc propeller target things
Mm-hmm.
and then like figure out what hub you want it to ride on, like so when it does, or like a Dremel, because a Dremel you could get some fucking speed going, and just
Yeah.
and out in
Yeah.
front of you.
That's what
That's I gotta go clean them all up.
you started
They're
talking about.
biodegradable.
He's
Those ones are anyway.
He's going to the DeWalt drill with the just chuck it up in
The
there
slip
and
hub.
send it.
I'll stick to
But
clays.
yeah, I saw that and I was like, it's cool. You can throw them singles or doubles, so you can actually stack 2 on there and it'll throw both. But
I mean, if the little discs are cheap, it'd almost be worth just playing with the drill to see if you could get them to fly off the way they're supposed to.
mm-hmm.
I don't want to
But-
buy the actual launcher because it seems huge and stupid looking and expensive. But
yeah, if they had gone with something with like a removable battery instead of having to recharge the entire launcher.
there should
Which
there
it,
should
it
just
it's
be-
exactly a drill battery. That's what it looks like on the bottom. It looks like a drill battery. So why didn't they make it removable?
Right.
Okay, I want to look at the mechanism that it attaches in there and how it sits in there,
Mhm.
because you should be able to take an electric drill and do this.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
see
what I'm
why you
thinking.
couldn't. Like someone,
You're gonna lose a
I'm-
finger.
My kids love pulling the cord on my thrower now. I can only imagine what they're going to be like with something that looks like a pistol. Yeah.
Like,
You're
yeah,
losing
this is a yeet cannon.
That's like 5 years old, man. They don't say yeet anymore.
Yeah, it's not skibidi.
Skibidi.
I don't even.
High Point
I
managed to
don't
release
fucking
their
know either.
stupid yeet cannon just in time for yeet to no longer be relevant.
Oh yeah, I still need
Fools.
to email him.
We've taken it over. The millennials own it now.
Boy. Well,
And
before
we
we're
know it.
old, so
speaking of dumb retarded things,
What'd you do?
I got some Gideon optics. Just kidding.
What
I
else
mean,
did you
you're
do?
not kidding, but
I'm kidding. They're not dumb or retarded.
You're not
That's
Gideon
just
around.
me.
yeah.
I like that shotgun.
Which one?
The one
Oh,
on top.
So for people who can't see, the one on top in my background that I can't touch because YouTube's full of.
Cucks.
Nazis.
I was trying to think of something more colorful, but
Thought bots?
YouTube is full of the people that belong in the chair at the hotel. The chair that's behind Dave that
All right,
Dave is
moving
not
on.
using.
That's just that's my 590 with some Boyd's gun stock stuff up there and a set me leather sling. And right now, that little here, hang on. Doodle-doodle-doo. Wait, no. How do I make myself bigger? I want to be special. There we
They have
go.
pills for that, and
And that
also
little
pumps.
guy up there, which is not so little, is the Gideon Optics. For some reason, I think he wants to get in bed with me because he keeps sending shit. Sent the Granite, which is their MOS.
Saying you that's my hat.
No, it's not. You get salt hat, remember? And
See, I get
salt is
nothing.
not from sweat.
Feels so good. Anyway,
I don't want it anymore.
that was the whole plan.
I've been rubbing it on my head.
Moving on. 8 MOA dot. Comes with a little pick rail. I threw it up on top of the 590 for now. We'll do some hardcore that coming up here pretty soon. Dave, don't die. And then
That wasn't even me.
Okay, whatever. I put the Omega on my hunting shotgun, my 535.
It was me.
And then they also sent out the Advocate, which is the little prism. I need to get myself off the big screen, which is a little prism site that Mike's in love with and wants to fornicate. I got the green.
I just advocate for it.
I got the green illuminated version, which I've never had a green dot. I can't call it a red dot. I've never had a green dot before. It's a little wonky, I will admit. I know the theory behind green being easier for your eye to pick up the light, but I'm so trained on a actual red dot that it fucks with my head just a bit, but not too bad.
You know what intrigues me?
What?
The amber dots. I know everyone's
Amber
Mhm.
intrigues me too.
No, I know everyone's different. I know that I hate blue because I freaking despise the blue Christmas lights. it's like if you have any tiny bit of astigmatism, they are
Mhm.
trying to murder you. I'm not actually sure I can see them, but I know they're there, and it's awful. But the amber dot, for some reason, I just think that would suit my eye better. Bob, Bob, are you
But before
listening?
this isn't a point about
Bob,
optics. I'm just quickly getting the whole shotgun thing. And I wasn't going to bring up the shotgun until you brought it up.
Bob.
The point is, they sent out that advocate too, and on a whim, I threw it on my crossbow, and then told my wife, "See you later." And I drove up to the creek where I've been hunting beaver, and continued the beaver jihad.
Mm-hmm.
Did the same old, got it zeroed on my crossbow. Then I'll wander down to the creek, and it was the most perfect conditions imaginable for hunting beaver. Glassy water, totally smooth. So you can see every little ripple. And so you see all the little brook trout making their little tiny ripples, and you learn to ignore those ones. And then, sure enough, about sun's starting to go down, out start popping all the freaking muskrats. There were a lot of damn muskrats this time. I ended up chasing muskrats for the first 20 minutes because I thought I saw this big ass beaver body go over the top of the dam and disappear down the other side. So I book it around, chasing around. Turns out it was just an oversized muskrat. They're not in season until November 25th, so whatever. But where
Wah,
there's
wah.
muskrats, there's beaver, is what I've learned. And then I just fine sit there and wait because this is what they did to me last fall too. This was supposed to be their end of their autumn schedule. They come out in that last 15-minute to 10-minute window before last shooting light, where it's getting so damn dark. It's getting that you're like, I don't know if I should take the shot or not.
The
So
boy
finally,
shot his deer at 11:20.
good for you. Good for you.
That's
There are
perfect
no
shooting
beaver
light.
out at 11:20, and last I checked, it's still very illegal to put a big hole in the lodge to go look for them at 11:20.
Wait, at night or the morning?
Which one were you doing?
They frown on
Well,
both of those. Anyway, so I saw one coming. It's a pretty wide pond where I was at. Oh, smart God, Mike, stop dropping your whole house, or Vince, whoever. I don't care.
My bad.
I'm not even watching the screen. I'm talking. When I talk, I speak into the ether. Um, Saw a couple finally beaver pop up. There's a very definite difference between beaver and muskrat because muskrat's small with a little snake tail behind him. Beaver big, no snake tail behind him in the water. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a mink. It was getting freaking dark, so it was getting hard to see. And this thing, which I didn't hear, comes about to my right, about 10 yards away, pops into the water. I've looked at basically silhouettes of mink and otter going through the water. I'm pretty sure it was a mink because it booked it straight across that pond, got out of the water, and this weird, lanky, tube shaped thing on legs just waltzed away into the willows. And I know I've seen some mink tracks up there before. So,
Minks are similar to ferrets, right?
yeah, same kind of like animal kingdom, little stringy tube animal with legs. Similar to wiener
Spaghetti
dogs.
beaver.
Spaghetti beaver.
Spaghetti beaver.
It's too bad we
Anywho.
already have show title.
Got really dark outside. Saw a beaver across the pond. I was like, damn. Like, I could see you. I could take a shot on you, but I'm not going to. Didn't feel comfortable with, because I can see the head, but not a whole lot. All right, cool. So I'm just going to stand there and watch him. And then to my left, right, so out in front of me, the water is all dark. But to my left, there's still a bit of, I'm at the right angle for the water to be glaring off the water just a little bit. And surfaced a beaver. And so I take the safety off the crossbow, turn a little bit, raise that 1X prism has a big outer ring and then a chevron in the middle. And I like chevrons because I like that infinite little tip. And put the tip on her nose and pulled the trigger. And I think I'm going to be thinking more about the crossbow in the future for two reasons. One of them is I think the thwack. I think beavers have really good reflexes, and I think because I put that straight on her nose, hoping to either just bore straight through the forehead, or if I hit a little bit high to get a good spine shot, because she was lined directly up with me. I think and this was at 15 yards. I think the thwack off the limbs, she had just enough time to twitch because the bolt went into her left shoulder, broke that shoulder, went into the chest cavity, shredded along through the guts, and then hit the right hip and just shattered the pelvis there and severed the femoral. So she managed to dive, and I was like, "Oh crap!" She dove, and and then in front of me, 2 seconds later, there's this big bloom of silt that comes to the surface. It's like, okay, well, she hit the bottom there. So I set my crossbow on the ground, pointing at that bloom, going, all right, that's my last known spot. And then I sat and waited. And I'd say 30 seconds later, I mean, it felt like 15 minutes, but it was probably only 30 seconds later, I heard her on the other side of the pond in the willows thrashing around, going through death throes. I was like, oh, okay, good. She didn't make it back to the log, which is what I'm afraid of. So then I went and walked around the other side and then got myself all wet and all moist, trying to go through there and find her. And then fine, hiked it back to the truck, got my waders, went back out there. Very important lesson in life: always trust your instincts, because as I'm wandering through the pond to get to where I think she is, I look to my right and my gut tells me I saw a weird shape in the water, and sure enough, it was her big old oval tail just under the surface. And so there
Nice.
she was, and the bolt did not go all the way through. It was still inside. The bolt itself snapped, so I recovered the broadhead. That's the other thing that's second guessing the crossbow life on this is if it had gone straight through her, there's no getting that part back. I thought of that before, and then when I was tallying up how much that shot would have cost me compared to a bullet, it's like, maybe I'll just stick to a rifle. But I was going to take a rifle, but I haven't re-zeroed the LPVO, the Guardian, on that rifle since throwing it in the beaver pond. So it was
you mentioned that to us, and I had a thought about that. So
the losing the bolt.
Well, the bolt not going all the way through, and you thought it was kind of weird that it didn't fully penetrate. And I actually think that if, say, you had shot an elk in the lung, I think even if you punched rib in and out, you probably would have gotten an exit with that same bolt. I think so. The fact that the beaver was in the water matters because you have a higher aggregate density of your material with the beaver being in the water. The water is denser than air. So kind of like if you shot the bolt into water, it would slow down much quicker than if you'd shot it into that distance of air, right? So the fact that the water is pushing in around the beaver, I think actually increases the overall pressure on the bolt as it's trying to penetrate.
Agreed. It definitely could. It also helps that I hit shoulder bone and hip bone. It was lengthwise across, and the length of this one was about 2 feet in total.
I mean,
and
granted,
they're also
yeah,
dense as all hell too. They have a ton of gristle connecting their pelt to their muscle, and she was nice and fatty for fall. So I don't know. It could be a number of things. I mean, I'm not going to give up on the crossbow yet. I've got 2 more bolts before I'm out of bolts. The next one I definitely need to take. What?
Put line on them and then go fishing, and then you won't have to worry about it.
That's a whole bow fishing rig, and I'm not spending that money right now.
Do it.
I have slight input that will just take a minute. Do they have like a Luminoc deal that you can put on a crossbow bolt?
I already thought about that. The problem is right now the water's pretty silty. And the bottom of those ponds is very silty. So if I miss, that thing's going in deep. And it's going to be in deep water. I mean, to cross the beaver pond and not flood out my waders because it's the main pond, so they dig those things out deep, I have to go upstream 2 more ponds to cross over, basically get above their little habitat. Otherwise, if you try and go straight across, it's just water in the waders by the time you get to the middle. So even where I shot her, it was deeper than I thought because I walked out there. It's like, oh, I'm already getting up to waist height right now. I need to get out and then go find a better place to cross over. So Luminoc is a great idea. Luminoc would have been a really good idea for her, actually, because then I would have seen exactly where she was on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I was.
Maybe they're a good idea after all. But anyway, no. got her, recovered her about, I'd say 40-ish pounds. I've measured out the pelt on this one, and it measured out to 40. What did I tell you guys? 43 inches.
43.
Okay, which depending on whose scale you use is either technically small or medium on the beaver size.
Schmedium.
Yep, small or medium. But did the whole, got her on the other side, got her all skinned out, got the pelt, got the meat. It's funny putting a relatively tiny little pile of beaver meat in a game bag the game bag meant for an elk quarter, because it all kind of disappears in the bottom, and you're like, oh, okay then.
It's just like,
About
I'm still
as
falling.
I was making my first skinning cuts, I heard an elk bugle off somewhere way over there, so that was cool.
Dunk.
And then about halfway through, it started sleeting, and that was not cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm
it is cool.
envious.
I needed to. It needs to sleet up there. It hasn't rained here in forever, but
Yeah, the fire danger keeps getting higher and higher.
which is annoying me because I need to go do some shooting on the old public land, and I can't.
I wouldn't have minded some sleet.
It was fine. It was fun.
I don't want to brag, but we got 2.5 inches of rain last weekend.
Oh, ain't you fancy?
Oh no! God damn, we needed it.
I don't want to
no.
brag, but I got 2.5 inches.
Inside or outside?
If that's bragging, I'm going to keep quiet.
Oh boy. Oh, no. So
Because if that's good.
that would be beaver number 3 that I've recovered. There's potentially a 4th that I've killed, because this time last year I shot that one, which is what set me on the crossbow spiral in the first place. Is I had that bad shot that, again, I'm pretty sure the round hit the water and then fragged it a little bit, but or maybe I shot it and it made it back to the den because I didn't get a good shot on it. But either way,
Or maybe you had a good shot and it had enough time to make it back before it bled out.
well, that's what I just said. I either fragged it
Oh.
or I didn't have as good of a shot as I planned on having.
Well, what I'm saying is, even if you had a perfect shot, it still could have had that life left in it. Like I've said before, you shoot the base of the heart. Vince's son's deer is a good example. It's got 20 to 25 seconds of life left in it, even though it's already dead.
The difference is, if you talk about body weight and body size, that 5.56 VMAX round is doing a hell of a lot. It's like getting hit with a, like when I shot the one last spring, that still wasn't ideal shot placement, and it still keeled over dead instantly. I mean, again, it's like the equivalent of getting shot with a brick in your little human body. But
the one that you shot with the VMAX that keeled over instantly, you shot in the head. What I'm saying is
I'm talking about the one last April that I meant to do a spine shot and I missed the spine.
Oh, okay.
No, different story altogether. But anyway,
Are we talking bullets versus bolts?
yes.
I mean,
What I'm talking about is the one last fall where I shot it. I thought I got a good hit because it was thrashing in the water. I should have shot it again, but it disappeared on me and I couldn't recover it. That's what set me down the whole crossbow spiral, because I was thinking, oh, if my my theory is my round was lower than I thought it was, and it hit the water first and then scattered frag on the beaver, and the beaver thrashed around because, ouch, I've been shot, but wasn't wounded significantly enough to, it wasn't a disability kill because it could still swim away just fine. And if it died later, it probably died of infection. And then I was thinking, oh, well, a bolt, if my shot is low, that'll go through the water better than a bullet will.
correct.
That's what got me on the whole crossbow thing in the first place. Until now, we're back to actually shot one with a crossbow, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I just need to use bullet again.
I mean, we learned that, my brother and I, one summer whenever we decided to shoot turtles in our pond, and you just couldn't get them with the rifle because if you hit water, it did weird things with the bullet. But if you took your bow out there and you put it on the turtle with the bow, it kind of just went through.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter so much. But then you lost your arrow and you had to go retrieve it with we put 3 treble hooks on a line, and we just cast it out and drag it over the arrow and pull it back in with that. And yeah.
If I was using a compound bow, I've also read about people putting like basically a washer behind the broadhead, so that'll hit, and that
Yeah.
washer can put some drag. But with the crossbow, there's not. It's
There's
got
not
full
space for it.
There's no space for it on a crossbow. So
What if you could get oversized bolts that stick out further?
maybe. But then again, though, if it's too long with all the energy and the width being put in there, if it's sticking out too far, I'll probably just snap the bolt in flight.
Possibly.
But anyway, the next one I'll go up for here probably in a couple weeks. I'll use the rifle on because I'll get the LPVO confirm 0 again on the rifle, the bent one, and that'll be the end of that. But no, so that's 3 in the freezer. I got what 9 more to go before I can make a blanket. So I better get to it.
So what I was saying, I was just asking you to not be so hard on yourself and say that you missed. I get your. I mean, it could have been a perfect shot, and you wouldn't know.
Nah, I done fucked up.
I mean,
well,
if it makes you feel better to beat yourself up, beat yourself up. I'm just saying you don't got to.
I know exactly what I did. I had that offset red dot on the freaking mount on that arrowhead, on the LPVO, arrowhead LPVO, and I didn't align it with the bore perfectly up and down. So my shot was just my point of aim and point of impact weren't in the same space to begin with. So I think the round hit low because I saw it hit water and then hit beaver, and yeah.
Okay.
More dead beavers is a good thing because now I can turn that one into more sausage. Well, I need one more, and then I'll turn it into sausage.
Heavy on the nutmeg?
No. God, no. More fat, less nutmeg. But no,
Nice.
that's it. Dead beaver. I like dead beavers. They're nice and fluffy.
Dead beaver.
I don't like skinning them out necessarily because that even if you don't get into the castor glands, they just smell like castor. And so your hands smell like castor for a whole day. And it's kind of pleasant and a nice smell at first, but then after a while you're like, I don't want my food to taste like this stuff, please.
Yeah.
Even wearing gloves.
While I was gutting his deer, the boy's like, "Hey, Dad, make sure you don't make it pee on your face again." Like, thanks, kid.
Well, as I'm skinning that beaver out, I'm like, all right, I got to be really careful because there's a broadhead in here somewhere, and broadheads are really sharp. And then as I'm doing the cut going up, basically you start at the anus, or actually the base of the tail, go around the anus, and then straight up to the bottom of the jaw when you skin out a beaver. I'm thinking, oh crap, I just nicked the freaking guts, didn't I? Son of a... But no, I'm pretty sure based on the trajectory of that broadhead, it either just some of the force going through caused some of the guts to split open, or it managed to graze the lining, that wall between the, that keeps the I'm failing on words here, gut sac, whatever. It grazed that because it's like, I did not hit that with a knife in hindsight, but
Well, I mean, it went
cavity?
right through
Gut
her.
cavity.
yeah, whatever cavity. No liver, Dave. Sorry. I found
Beaver cavity.
pieces of the liver.
Oh, half the work's done for me.
You don't want them now, boy.
Well, it's not like they got lead poisoning.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
They're just pre-chopped up. It's good.
There's nothing. I still say there's a lot weird with doing the full cape on something when you're dragging it down the face and like, oh, there's the ear. Make sure I cut deeper on that one. Oh, there's the eyeball. Sweet. And then you get to the very end. You're like, all right, where's the cartilage end on the nose? Because we got to get the nose.
Did you start to figure out how they did it to John Travolta and Nicolas Cage?
Basically. And then you're going around the lips and you're like, all right, make sure I got to get those lips skinned out. I mean, the whole wire just like, man, I hope nobody ever does this to me.
And if they do, I hope I'm dead.
I don't want them to do it to me after I'm dead either. Like, eh. So that's what I got. The first impression on for full disclosure, the optics were sent to us for free for review. The first impressions on the Advocate are for a similarly, so if you're going in the same price range, and this is just one of the benefits of a prism optic compared to a red dot in general. Compared to it, I have now that Advocate, and I also have a Primary Arms I cannot remember the name on that one. It's not their like cheapest. It's not like they make red dots that are like very affordable, and then they make MD 25. That's it. Primary arms MD 25. It's a 25 millimeter red dot, so it's not a micro, but it's not a full size either. It's kind of floats in the middle. Pretty decent dot, but they're about the same price category. The prism is much clearer and collected a lot better light because it doesn't have to have any kind of tinted coatings to the glass to get the laser the dot to actually show up, because it's an etch reticle with illumination that doesn't need that advanced coatings.
Okay.
I had never considered that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so basically same price range. The prism much clearer to look at, especially at night, because last year I had that MD 25 red dot on there. It was running into issues, especially really. I mean, we're talking the last 5 minutes of shooting light. Either this thing swims towards me and I get the shot off, or it's not happening because I don't have time to move towards it. But it worked out. The green illumination's fine. A little wonky again, but no, so far so good. There's no recoil on a crossbow. I obviously haven't had any recoil, and it's had one shot on it. Mike, you've been having it on a shotgun, so that one's your. Good night, Desky.
Yeah.
We love you.
Bye, Dusky.
Anyway, cool stuff.
Nice.
And then the granite, I have not had any shot and no time on it yet other than looking through it. I like the fact that it looks like a little old tube TV on top of my shotgun. It's nice and square, like the old vacuum tube televisions.
Uh-huh.
You Zoomers out there don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I wish it had a feature where to get it to work, you had to bang on the top a couple of times, but
Those TVs were what you put your new TV on top of.
that too.
Why is your TV stand an old TV? Because
Yes.
this is, yes.
My
Like
parents.
Go.
My parents' TV still sits on a coffee table, which is actually a record player.
Nice. Nice.
We have our board games in an old record player / liquor cabinet dealy do. Like you could put your record player on one side and your liquor on the other. And we keep our board games in it. It's pretty cool.
See, let's not pretend that our grandparents didn't know how to party.
Right. They knew how to party. They didn't have all the cool
Better than we
internet that
do.
we do.
They actually had to have meat space friends, and when you hung out with your friends, he's like, "Hey, you want to come over here and we'll drink and smoke and bullshit?" Well, that's a good idea. Now we're just like, I'm gonna message him on Signal.
Yeah, now we're just like, hey, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Thank
I burned
God.
Mike so bad that he can feel the smoke. He's gonna die of the smoke inhalation over there.
That is not what I'm going to die for.
No, you're gonna die this weekend when I flip over the canoe and you drown.
Before we move on, I'll just mention real quick, we do have an affiliate code. Let's go. Wait.
LGH podcast, I believe.
LGH podcast. I was trying to get to moist. I don't think it's moist. Anyway,
It's not moist yet. It's all caps.
it's not moist. Okay.
I mean, what I'll
LGH
say-
podcast for 10% off at GideonOptics.com.
I know. I would say we can throw our weight behind the Guardian LPVOs. Those are very solid. I've bent the one that I own. I'm still gonna go shoot a beaver with it. I've also put two giant, well, not quite chips, but I have cratered the glass on both ocular and objective lenses by tying it to a rope and windmilling it into some rocks.
I wouldn't
That's
have
cool to shoot
minded.
beaver with that one. And then the Omega, so far so good on that. Nice little red dot for a pistol, or in this case, a shotgun. And the Advocate seems pretty nice and solid too. That's what I can say on those.
I wouldn't have minded using the Guardian this last weekend, but I really did need lightweight for the boy to be able to wield the rifle properly. And a 10-ounce optic is way better than the Guardian 34 millimeter is not stupid heavy. I mean, really isn't, but it's still at least 12 or 13 ounces heavier than like the prism optic that I've got on it. So
Anyway, so let's see. We're an hour and 20 minutes, so we'll start wrapping this stuff up fairly quick. But next week, Mike, you also have joined. You finally joined the flotilla, right?
What do you mean join the flotilla? It was my idea. I just couldn't get my boat first.
Okay, no. You're not.
Nope.
It was a joint idea.
Nope, I had this idea last year, remember?
Yeah, and I was sitting right next to you when we had it together.
No, you weren't. Last year, I was saying I want a kayak so I can go out into the middle of the goddamn lake and get the coot at Lake Pueblo.
As I was sitting next to you, and we were both, no, this is an 11-mile, remember? Because I was looking at freaking kayaks when those two ducks flew in, which is part of the reason I missed. Because like,
is that what you were doing?
Yes, I was looking at random kayaks that whole
I gave
time.
you credit for being there for creative genius moment.
No, we were sitting there next to each other. You're on my right. I'm on the left. I'm in my camp chair. Both of our daughters are in the background making all kinds of noise.
Which didn't matter to the ducks that came in.
I'm just like, screw it. There's no ducks showing up right now. These kids are making too much noise. We're about to quit anyway. I'm scrolling on Marketplace looking for cheap tandem kayaks. It didn't fly those two teals. And so I'm dropping my phone and grabbing my shotgun and like, oh, what do we do now? Like, I'll get the one on the left and you get the one on the right. Well, I guess we'll count down from 3. Oh, they're flying away. We should shoot them now.
Oops.
So anyway, we're gonna, well, you bring your kayak. I'll
that
bring the
didn't
canoe.
happen.
Oh, I totally. Like I said, the first time I saw a dove, I could have shot. I didn't have a shotgun, and my pants were unzipped, taking a piss off in the bushes. Like, oh look, there's a dove.
Must be nice. Anyway, yeah, I joined the Navy. I got me a 10-foot fishing kayak that I'm not gonna use for fishing very much. It's got a flat bottom. It's got the elasticy, storagey cargo dealy doos. It's got a little fishing pole mount in the middle of it. I think is really cool. That I want to have one of our friends take a look at. Maybe he can 3D print a gun mount. I can stick it like a shotgun, something to lay it down horizontally in, so that as I'm paddling,
your crotch, right?
No, pointed directly out between your legs, pointed out to the bow of the boat.
That's so you can put a mast for a sail.
No, it's not. It's for a fishing pole, you dork.
It is.
Can you imagine that?
It is literally for a fishing pole. They have fishing pole holders.
Fishing pole holders.
That's not a real thing.
A sail on Mike's
Look up
kayak.
fishing kayak. I learned all this nonsense much, not to my own free will.
You
just
got 2
through
hands.
researching the
That's
dumb
what
shit.
those are for.
I mean, you're not wrong. But it's for holding those same kind of Lockheed Fisher fishing pole holders that we used on the veterans fishing trip I went on. You just kind of put the pole in the holder and cruise around till somebody gets a bite. Anyway, I want to get a 3D printed gun holder to put in that thing instead, and I've already bought so me and my clumsiness, I already know that eventually a shotgun's going to go swimming, so I've already got a sling and I got sling and swivels to install on the shotgun, so when I'm on the boat, I can be like, okay, here you go, shotgun. I get a life jacket. You don't have a life jacket, so clip.
As it drags you down into the water with it, and you're like, you have to make the choice between cutting the shotgun free or drowning.
No, I won't. I'm going to clip it to the boat like a genius.
And then you clip yourself to the boat, and you all sit together.
No, I'm going to clip the shotgun. One end of the sling goes on the back of the shotgun. The other end goes to the boat.
Uh-huh. Mike's out there hugging onto his kayak as it sinks, screaming. The captain goes down with the ship.
No, what's going to happen is, because it's 11 mile, he's going to be paddling out there. Shotgun's going to fall in, act as though it's an anchor, wedge itself, and then strand Mike in the middle of the fucking lake.
Every once in a while, it just goes off.
I can unclip it. I could.
I
Cut.
thought it was gonna be like
Sam, don't ever let me lie to you that I don't have a knife with me again. As long as I got my pistol belt, I got a knife. I realized that when we got
I was
home, and I
looking
was like,
straight at that knife the whole
I
time.
didn't. You should have said something.
But decided it was too nice of a knife to be go cutting against my shotgun receiver, so I didn't push it. It was fine.
Fair enough.
You know
I thought
what?
Mike was.
You know what gun mounts I wish I could get for the canoe, or some kind of like swivel. It would be totally impractical, but having some kind of like swivel mount on the side would be pretty cool.
See, that is something also that could be done on the kayak, a swivel mount.
But
I
then
mean-
I don't have a semi-auto, so I'd have to like take it and pump it and then swivel and shoot. But
Mount it to
this
the
joke.
pump. Make the joke. Mount it
Mike
to the
gonna
pump.
tie a
and then...
rope to his shotgun and be like, "Here, hold this."
um,
That's all I
So-
could think about the whole time he was talking about this. I'm like,
so it's. I'm pretty excited. I picked it up yesterday. I've already got a paddle because I went whitewater boating. I have a whitewater boat on the roof of my garage that I haven't used in like 12 years. But it's fine. So it didn't come with a seat, ordered a seat, the sling and the swivels, first things I ordered. It's got enough room to carry decoys, got enough room to carry a bag, and it's even got a little fish hole. Like when I messaged the dude, the first thing, normally when you find things on Marketplace, you're like, I'll be original. Is this still available? Blocked immediately. So instead, I asked the dude, what's that little center hole in the middle? Is that legitimately like a boat toilet or something? And he's like, LL, no. You fill it with water a little bit. It makes the boat a little less buoyant, but you fill it with water and you put your fish you catch in there.
SCP in it.
Live well.
Yeah. And I was like, oh. And he's like, oh, also people could put beer in there. And people have put ice and beer in their, live well?
Mm-hmm.
He
So-
fills it full of beer. The beer all slides to one side. Now he can't figure out why he's listing to starboard.
At the same time, I'm thinking, man, you could put so many ducks in there.
I mean, the canoe is just
No.
one big, long, open trough. You can get all
Yeah.
kinds of shit in there.
No, officer, I have not been shooting ducks. Look, there's none in my boat.
from inside the live well.
There's just
Quack.
beer in here. It's fine.
Shut up.
Quack.
What's that? It's an electronic call. Ah.
That's my free duck.
Nice.
So I think Sam and I are going out this weekend, and I may not get to use the boat. We have a buddy who may or may not be going. We'll talk about that later.
I mean, even if he
goes.
doesn't come along, bring it because I can paddle that canoe solo. I just got the middle, so we can try it out to where we're both in the canoe. Definitely not touching each other. That's gay. And then we can try it out where you're in the kayak and we're trying really hard not to get in each other's line of fire. It'd be
Hurting
fine.
ducks.
I still want
might
to do
work.
a broadside salvo off the canoe and see if we can't, get a little rocking motion going, but it'll be fine.
Do that in the kayak.
It
Nah.
would
Yeah,
go.
do it.
Honestly, it would go more poorly than it would for the kayak, because if a kayak's got a flat bottom, the canoe does not.
Are we
Yeah, it
placing bets that as soon as Mike gets in his kayak, he's going to fall right the fuck out? Like immediately? First time launching it?
Since I just said I used to whitewater kayak, we're not placing those bets.
I'll take that bet.
You'd lose
You're-
that bet.
You are
I think
also
he's
way
going.
more broken.
The kayak
So-
is way more unstable than the canoe, in my experience. See, I have this. So when I was,
Whitewater boats, yes, but flat bottom ones? I don't have any experience, so I'm asking.
I don't even know like what we had. So when I was like 14 or 15, my dad took us kayaking down the Brazos River in Texas. And we were getting towards the end of the day. We had no idea where we were supposed to be putting in at the end. We're like trying to find the spot. And he went up to this cabin to ask where the thing was. And I'm like sitting down in the water, still in the kayak. and he comes running down, but he doesn't just stop and get in the kayak. He tries to do this running jump into the kayak and friggin' just bowls the whole thing over. Like, just tips the whole thing. I go in the water. His cell phone goes in the water. It's still
Nice.
there. Everything we owned went in the water. And like, yeah, and canoes, like at least the canoe that I have is like you can lean over until like the most of the bottom is off the water. And because it's like got the higher sides, it will actually just sit there
Yeah, the gunnels.
in the water.
Yeah. It'll be
I
fun.
hate when audiobooks don't pronounce words like that properly. He went to the gun whales.
Oh, gunnels?
Yeah.
Gun whale.
You went to the gun whales. No, fuck off.
Is that like? Never mind.
That's a whale. That's a whale with a gun on its back. And I want one.
Like, wait a minute. I
Hey,
didn't know this
You
existed.
need those to fight the sharks with the laser beams.
oh no, you fight the Japanese with it.
Ooh.
It's like
they
a
fight
Q.
back.
It's like a Q ship from World War One, but it's a whale with a cannon on its back. They come up to harpoon it, and you just surface. Eeeeee.
Looks like Moby Dick's fighting back.
Exactly.
Dum, 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 dum.
Moby Dick 2, The Dickening.
My
Ah,
God.
God. All right, that's it. We're done.
I think so. Yes.
So
I think we're actually done. So that's all good.
that's a good note to end on. We'll come back with notes on how the water hunt went. And honestly, I think you should name the kayak Water Swatter.
Nah, I'm still. This is the kind of thing where you
Canoe,
have to
I mean.
happen. You have to happen. You have to wait for an event to happen. That'll be the source of the name. Some
Can't
kind of
just name it,
disaster or funny incident or great success. There will be something that it's like, all right, we're calling it this. So I just gotta wait for that to happen.
My
Like,
first
why is this-
canoe, number 2.
Why is this canoe named Broadside?
Exactly. Like we'll either broadside off the side of it with 3 guns and find out it was great, or find out it was a terrible idea, and then we can call it the broadsider. I mean, who cares?
If we can do a 21 gun salute without falling over, we're pretty good. 3
Yeah,
guys
you have the
firing 7
guns. You
times.
just need to tie the strings right.
just hook up the shotguns in the front, pointed vaguely at the water with the string, so you paddle from the back, and then when you're ready to shoot, just
Oh, we
Didn't
talked
we
about
see a
this.
video like that?
Whoever's in the back of the canoe is going to be in charge of propulsion.
that's me.
Yeah.
That's why I want to do shooting. You know, I can rudder it around to where we both shoot off the port side, and it'll be fine.
Anyway, before we get out of here, we do have an affiliate code for our friends at Camerado. That's camerado.com. Affiliate code Let's Go Hunt for 5% off?
Something.
Indeed.
10, 5,
5.
10, some amount.
Let's go hunt for
Money.
5% off. You can wear awesome things like I'm wearing. Not with Let's Go Hunt. You have to get those from our merch shop. But yeah,
Because if you don't, the deer will
They'll
know
see you.
suck.
they'll see you, dude.
No,
If you
they'll
wear
just-
real tree, they'll be like, that looks like a real tree. That's a hunter. But if you wear Camerado, they won't even see you.
That's some interesting logic there. Let's let them mull on that one for a minute.
See you guys
Dave,
next
get
week.
us out of here.
Well, support the sport and take a buddy hunting. Don't blue falcon that buddy, especially literally. Tell them about our show. Hit us up at Let's Go Hunt or lghpodcast.com. Vote no on Prop 127, the ban on cat hunting here in Colorado. Thanks for listening, and let's go hunt.
Deer grapes.
Oh, that's the only thing we have written down.
Yeah,
That's the
we
only
didn't even
thing
try
worth
after
it.
that.
Nighty night.